Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. I'm joined today by Luca Urlando. Luca, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Another day at home. So you have graciously agreed to share with us some personal information, namely the top three swims of your career, the top three swims that you've witnessed. Do you have a preference on which you'd like to start?
Um, I'll just go first with the top three swims that I've seen.
Okay. Yeah, let's get into it.
Probably my favorite race I've ever seen. I'll just do all the junior world ones because there are so many ones I remember very vividly.
Mm-hmm.
Probably my favorite was the 4x200 relay. We just had so many stack swimmers. We had Jake McGahee, Jake Mitchell, uh, Carson Foster, and then me. And it was so cool seeing everyone just pop off. And I think we all got best times in that relay or best relay splits. It was just super cool. Another one was the 200 breast at Junior Worlds. It was, who won it? Do you remember? I forgot his name.
Matheny, right?
Matheny, yeah. I
Josh.
can't believe I forgot his name. His tuner breast was super cool. It just came down to like the last second of the race, and everyone knew that, he had won it. That one was super cool. And then probably Carsons 200 IM at Junior Worlds. It was just, again, awesome.
Yeah. So that's interesting because Carson, I asked him the same things, and a lot of his were from Junior World Championships. What made that meet such a fun environment to be at for you?
I think it's just the team that was there. Everyone just was super focused and super focused on doing the best that they really could.
Yeah. What can you kind of take me through, once the team was compiled, did you guys have a training camp together? How much time did the team actually spend as a team before the meet started?
I think we had about 2 days before the actual meet of just kind of mingling in Budapest, and then the meet started. So not a whole bunch, but I feel like the amount of like people that were there and the people that were there was just a great combination. Like we all really bonded.
Yeah. So when you go to an international meet like that, uh, I think you actually did have your coach there, if I recall correctly. But is it different from just say like a sectional type meet or a national level meet where you're tapered and kind of ready to go?
Um, yeah, definitely. You're a little bit more stressed out. Like one thing that I had to prepare myself for was being in like the ready room 20 minutes before a race. I've never done that before. So just kind of mentally thinking about the race and when to get like focused, going up to the blocks and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And uh, so watching, Carson's 200 IM, for example, do you wish you could have been in that race?
Yes and no. I'm not really a huge fan of the 2IM, but it's not my least favorite event. But I had other goals going into that meet.
And how do you feel that meet went for you as a whole?
Definitely a learning experience. I don't think my times were exactly where I wanted them to be in any of the races, um,
Mm-hmm.
but I was so happy with it. It was wouldn't trade it.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, let's move on to your top three swims that you have ever swum.
Um, Probably my favorite race was the tuner fly at the 2018 national US Nationals. I think I got third, and I it was just a breakthrough race, and I was super stoked. Another race that I loved was the two fly at the Clovis Pro Series. Also one of my favorite races. And then probably 200 freestyle at this last US Nationals where I dropped like a few seconds and I was just also super stoked.
Yeah. So let's break those swims down a little bit. So let's start with your tuner free at nationals. Coming into that meet, where were you at physically? Were you at mentally? Especially heading into that 200 freestyle.
Um, well, it was definitely something that I did not expect. I didn't get that much rest going into the meet. The goal was just kind of to make the junior world team and then or make it in the two free, two fly, and hunter fly, and then obviously taper for junior worlds. So I was not expecting to drop like that.
And kind of going into that race specifically, that 200 freestyle, where was your mind right before it or during the race, if you remember?
I just remember my coach telling me to go after it and just really uh, smoke them on the third 50 is what he said. So that's kind of what I tried to do.
Yeah. um moving on to that 200 flying Clovis, and I'm sure you've thought about it and talked about this race quite a bit, but I'm guessing that was fairly unexpected for you.
Yeah, that too was also very unexpected. I didn't get that much rest going into it.
And what what was different about that race, or what really clicked for you during or before that race?
I think just being so relaxed going into that meet, like it wasn't, there was no expectations at all. And just the swim felt super smooth and controlled.
Did it help to have that be pretty close to you, because that's not your home pool, right?
No, but I've been swimming there for a few years now at that pool.
Okay. So I'm guessing there was a factor of just kind of being relaxed and at home for you in that pool.
Yeah, without a doubt.
um, and then the your 200 fly at the 2018 Nationals, where you did get third. How are you feeling heading into that meet? Because I think that after that meet, a lot of people knew your name and kind of knew who you were as a competitor on the national and international stages.
Yeah, that's also a meet that I had a breakthrough performance, and I wasn't, again, I wasn't expecting it, but me and my coach were, or he was talking to me after the meet, and he kind of told me that, you just I have to keep on riding the wave. Um, you don't always have like huge drops in your career. So as long as you kind of realize that, it makes the periods of time where you don't have a lot of drops better, if that makes sense.
Definitely. I mean, I think that's pretty good advice, especially for anyone who's who's been a swimmer for quite a while and had those periods where you're not dropping a lot of time. Um, so how did that 2018 Nationals kind of change the way you viewed it? So let me rephrase that. Did that national meet change the way you viewed yourself as a competitor?
Yeah, without a doubt. It definitely gave me a lot more confidence in other events too. Like uh, after swimming that time in the two fly, I was then more excited to swim freestyle and be more confident in trusting myself of doing what I need to do in races.
Do you think that the fact that that 200 fly was on the first day helped you throughout the rest of the meet?
Oh, without a doubt. If the tuner fly wasn't the first day, I think it definitely would have been a different meet for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so moving forward, you coming off of junior world championships. How were you feeling kind of this fall, this winter, heading into what was going to be the Olympic year?
Um, it for me personally, it was definitely just trying to refocus, regroup after like a really long summer. So give myself like the extra time I needed going into the fall to give myself a good base throughout the year.
Yeah. Um, and then can you describe to us, you got an opportunity to ride that wave with the shoulder injury that you sustained in, I think it was January.
Yeah.
Can you just kind of talk to us about, how the training was going, how that happened, how you responded to it?
Yeah. So after like winter nationals, I wasn't really that happy with my meet. I thought I kind of hit my taper wrong or something like that. So coming off that, I was super focused, and that winter training was arguably the best training I've had like ever. And I was doing times I usually wouldn't be doing in practice. And then at the end of all the training, I dislocated my shoulder. I mean, it was obviously a big bummer, but it also helped me refocus again, um, to the point where I knew what I needed to do going into this summer.
Yeah. Um, and so how would you describe that rehab process after your shoulder was injured?
Well, I mean, it wasn't necessarily easy, but I had some really good people that were supporting me throughout the entire thing. I actually went up to, or you probably already know this, I went up to OTC for 5 weeks, um, in rehab with Mitch Dalton and Keenan Robinson, and they were super helpful.
Now, were you in the pool at that time?
Yeah, I was kicking for 6 weeks after my injury, and then I started to incorporate some freestyle and breaststroke, and now I can swim butterfly.
Nice. Uh, how sick of kicking were you by the end of those 6 weeks?
Honestly, I've always loved kicking, but
Mhm.
at the end of it, I was like, all right, I'm ready to mix things up now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think you'll talk to a lot of athletes who, sustain an injury and they have to really up their game in another part of their performance. And for swimmers, a lot of times you get a shoulder injury, you kick a lot, and then you come back and you find that's actually been a positive. Have you felt the effects of all that kicking in your training after you came back from the 6 weeks?
Yeah, without a doubt, my legs were a lot stronger than they used to be, and they definitely didn't tire as quickly or nearly as quickly.
Mhm.
And then eventually, obviously, everything with Corona happened and kind of shut down swimming or training for about a week.
Yeah. Before we get into that, one quick final question. So you had that great block of training, arguably the best you've had so far in your career before the shoulder injury. Was there a set? Was there a day of practice that stood out to you during that block of stellar training?
Yeah, kind of did this back half 200 pace set with my coach the Wednesday before, like all the pools got shut down, and I think it was some like 250s, 200 pace, and then 100 fast, like as fast as you can be with like
Mhm.
short amount of rest in between. And I don't know, it was just a lot faster than it used to be. Like my legs tire as quickly. And yeah.
Yeah. Would you mind sharing the times you went on that?
Yeah, I think it was 5 rounds through. In
Okay.
all the 50s, it was kind of the same. I was like 26 highs to 26 lows. This was freestyle. And
Long
then,
course? Short?
oh no, long course, long
Okay.
course. And then each at the end of each round, there'd be 100 fast. That was the goal, to be under back half tuner pace. And each round, I think it was 5 rounds, and I went uh 56.0, 55.5, 55.0, 54.5, and then the last one was 54.0. And I would never have been able to do that prior to all the leg training.
Now, were you supposed to descend the hundreds, or that's just how
Oh,
it
I
went?
probably should have gone a little faster on the earlier rounds, but yeah,
That's awesome.
thank you.
um, so yeah, so the obviously pools got shut down with the pandemic happening. Yeah, how are you affected by that? What has your situation looked like for the last couple months?
Actually, I've been really blessed that I actually have a person that I've been training at pool who has like a 25-meter pool
Okay.
over there every single day. So training really hasn't changed so much, or changed that much for me. It's been more of like not being able to swim with other people. That's the really only change.
Yeah. And uh, I mean, you say that's the only change, but has that been a significant change for you? Because I mean, swimming with other people can make a very big difference.
Yeah, yes and no. It's definitely not as motivating just swimming by yourself,
Mhm.
but it is what it is. And eventually, pools are going to open back up, and it's not something that you desperately need, or I desperately need.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what, you said it's less motivating. So what is still motivating you? I mean, obviously, obviously swimmers understand this, but I mean, it's hard to motivate yourself every single day to keep going and to keep pushing yourself to your limits. What would you say has been motivating you the last couple months?
Probably just thinking about going to college and being in good shape going into college. Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
um, yeah, that makes sense. Well, Luca, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you've got a lift to go to. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing some of your favorite swims with me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, do you love SwimSwam as much as I do? Do you want hours of endless practice footage, race video, and a guide to the best pancakeries in the country? Then subscribe to our YouTube channel below. And follow us on social media at SwimSwam News on Twitter and Instagram. If we get 1 million followers, I might just eat 1 million pancakes. Only one way to find out.